Our next guest says the fuel price hike is another milestone marking the coming end of a subsidized China. He's noticed a lot of government-backed subsidies have been significantly reduced or removed, and it's all leading to increased costs. These costs, he says, are not an indication of inflation, but rather reflecting the real price of China. Richard Brubaker is founder and managing director at China Strategic Development Partners, joining us live now from our studios up in Shanghai. Richard, good morning. Good to see you. In addition to the fuel price hike, of course, we've got electricity tariffs going up 5% starting July 1st. What other signs are there that a massively subsidized China is coming to an end?
Well, I think over the last 18 months, you've been seeing a lot of different movements with the VAT rebate, employment taxes, various aspects of the economy itself. They've been removing the actual subsidies. But then on the soft side, you've had things like the environment, improved conditions and improved enforcement have effectively been reducing the subsidy of the environment itself. So as land prices are, being increased, as tax, breaks are being taken away, these are all things that are adding back into the cost structures of many companies, foreign and domestic in China.
Richard, granted, it is still very early days after those fuel price hikes took effect for gasoline and diesel, but at this point in time, on a ground level, are you seeing any evidence that Chinese consumers may be flinching at these higher prices?
I think early on, it's not the Chinese consumer that's going to feel it. It's kind of the middle person. It'll be the taxi drivers, it'll be the truck drivers that really feel the pinch. Riding over on the way in, we haven't seen the taxis actually increase their fares in at least 18 months. So, if they're being expected to pay 20% more for fuel, but keep their prices the same, it's going to be the people at that level. Industry will feel it before the consumer as well.
Yeah, but the strange and ironic thing is, with these fuel price hikes and also with the electricity tariff hike coming up starting next month, the good news is, they're able to do that ostensibly because the main driver of inflation, food prices, that seems to be easing off. And this is, of course, this whole situation is improving ahead of the Olympics.
Correct. But, getting back to inflation and food, if you have the entire Midwest of the United States having corn and, underwater and the corn prices globally are going up, then food inflation is going to come back as the corn feeds back into the hog and into the livestock community. There are other areas where you have seen vegetables come down, but you now have floods in Anhui and in other parts of China, which are kind of in their breadbasket as well. Yeah. So I wouldn't say that the core inflation itself is off. It may have taken a bit of a reprieve, but we may see it come back as well.
Worrying. Okay, it's going to be back. What about the market, though? It's lost a huge amount of value ahead of the Olympics, and everybody's been waiting for the government to do something, to step in. What do you think that is going to be?
At this point, I'm not 100% sure. We were also seeing, the two main asset classes, where you have the real estate as well. Many people feel that the real estate may see a little bit of an impact as well coming up, mainly because of the 5-year tax holiday or the 5-year tax rules coming in, so people can sell more freely. On the stock market itself, I'm not 100% sure that they're going to try and increase the prices significantly, because there was already a feeling that there was too much air in the bubble.
Okay, Richard, real quickly, I understand you've been doing some work anticipating another move ahead of the Olympics. That is the shutdown of Factory China, or maybe that's a bit too ambitious. A lot of factories in China. Is that because basically, they don't want the Olympic runners to choke to death, or what?
Well, I've been covering this on my blog, All Roads Lead to China, and yes, I think to some degree that's true. I think there's kind of three, if you're a manufacturer in China, there's three kind of risk categories. One is if you're a heavy polluter in the air, another is if you use a lot of water, and the third is if you use a lot of energy. These are three things that the Beijing Olympics, they need clean air, they need water, and they need energy. So if, in preparing for that, you've had areas like Shandong that have said that they've already identified the first 120 companies that if it comes down to that, they can, tell them to close down. Around the Beijing area, they've been closing down, or they'll be taking a lot of steel offline, because that in itself usually adds a lot of, small air pollutants. And then as well as the small coal energy areas, they'll be taking those down as well.
All right, Richard, great to talk to you, sir. Thank you for your time. Richard Brubaker, founder and also managing director at China Strategic Development Partners, live from our studios over in up in Shanghai. Let's get straight to Adam Bakhtiar for a couple other big stories, including one on MBIA, the big U.S. bond insurer. To add insult to injury, you had that ratings cut.